You know what's crazy to me is that we still think that the traditional job is kind of the best way possible. It is the safest way out there. But if you start to think about what is happening in this world, I mean, not to mention AI, and so somehow that can even take like a lot of jobs away in the kind of coming years. But even then, all of the like job security and the way sort of employers treat people, I just don't think this is the thing that is the best for anyone out there. And if we switch to freelancing, we can see how everything kind of changes. For example, um, you kind of work the same thing because when you do freelancing, you usually offer and do the same things as you do in your job, but you can earn 3 to 5 times more because you usually offer some kind of output, some kind of result, and you can actually work with few clients at a time. Do you really think that, for example, what you do right now, do you actually work like 9 hours per day, every single day at your job? Are you actually productive all of those 9 hours? I bet that, I mean, there are like studies out there, and I bet that you probably work only like 3, maybe 4 hours of actual work, and the rest is just lunch breaks and just other nonsense. So imagine just like at the bare minimum, if you work the full 9 hours, but you have like two clients that you work 4 hours each, that's and you charge the same thing, that's already double your income. So I'm a very big proponent of uh, like these going into freelancing. But let me just talk about most common question or problem that usually people say. Okay, they're like, okay, I agree with you, Banas. This is the way forward, but um, what then? How do I find clients? This is the most common question I usually get asked, or I usually see people asking whenever it's to do with freelancing, because what you know is basically how to send a CV or apply to LinkedIn, and maybe like you've been on some interviews. That's the whole skill. So when people think about finding clients, it's like a whole black hole. Like, what do you actually do? How do you find clients? How do you talk to them? Do you send them the CV? Like, how do you approach? And I perfectly get that this is the most frustrating part, but honestly, it's not that difficult. It's the same thing when you were in high school and you thought like, how do jobs work? And then somebody kind of just explained it to you, showed it to you, you tried a couple of times, and after getting a job or two or sending a CV or two, it kind of becomes more comfortable for you because okay, I've did it, I got it, and that's it. So it's the same thing with freelancing. You just need to try a couple of times, get a couple of jobs, and then that process becomes very easy. uh, the worst part is that the school and society and even universities teach us very this passive approach to work, like, oh, you just send your CV and wait. Like, just send an application on LinkedIn and wait. Oh, you're getting an interview? Good for you. You did good. Now go to that interview, take interview, and then you wait. It feels very passive, and uh, basically you put the control in the companies, in a company, instead of actually taking control and ownership of what you do to yourself. And this is what freelancing is actually all about. When you have to find clients, the whole point is that you actually need to be active. You cannot just send CVs to a random company, to a random email, and expect something. No, no, no. You need to be proactive in actually trying to approach people. So there are some skills that you need to learn in order to actually get there. So, what are those skills? So, first of all, it's networking with people. But sometimes people think that networking is a very strong word. It's just make being able to talk to people offline and off and online. So it means that you should be very approachable. You should be very proactive in the way you chat with people, either via LinkedIn DMs, offline in the events. Just kind of you don't need to like as people say, be yourself. You just need to know how you can just chat with people, uh, and make connections. That's it. It's networking is just about making sure you introduce yourself, get to know that person, introduce you, exchange some contacts. Don't let that contact slip away, because a lot of people usually they get to know each other and then they forget about them. That's also not a good thing. Just keep in like your network and the way you chat with people and the way you keep your contacts list. Even this is very very important, and this is what is going to get you a lot of clients actually, at the end of days. Now, another thing is, so instead of interviews, which are again a very passive thing, because what is an interview? Like an interview, just by itself, what it means is that, oh, I sit down and that I'm asked questions, and then when the questions end, I leave. It's a very very like even the word interview is a very very passive thing. What happens when you sort of switch to freelancing? It's kind of the same, well, interview per se, where you talk to people, but instead of you just being asked questions and responding and then that's it, it's all about you are trying to sell yourself. And again, people some people might hear this and say, "Oh, selling, oh, I hate the process of it. Feels it doesn't feel good." For a lot of people, like sales calls, selling, it is associated with something very bad or very like in your face type of thing. Where so like even like I think people a lot of people imagine salesman either somebody that calls you and tries to sell you something, like an upgraded internet plan or phone plan or whatever, or a door-to-door salesman where somebody just actively tries to kind of get you to do something. I view it, first of all, sales doesn't have to be that aggressive. You don't have to kind of sell yourself in that aggressive manner. Um, First thing is that instead of just calling them sales calls, call those calls discovery calls. What is a discovery call? Discovery call is basically where you learn more about that person's business, their problem, and then you might offer a solution. But again, that doesn't need to be aggressive. It can be just a chat. So when I'm saying you need to learn how to sell yourself, it's more actually just need to learn how to listen to people, how to ask the right questions, and then how to present an offer. But it's nothing complicated. I mean, yes, you can go into that more aggressive route where you're trying to learn all of the sales tactics and trying to be the best salesman out there. That's totally fine, but you don't have to. For example, my whole like freelancing career, I never really learned sales in any capacity. I just chatted with people all of the time, and I still do to this day. What I do is just I hop on a call, and it's just like I'm being kind of myself. I'm not like pretending that I know too much or too little or anything like that. I just chat with people. I ask them what's their problem, uh, who are they. I'm just trying to get as much information out of them as possible, and then once I understand what their business is about, what they're struggling with, I say, hey, this is what I do. This is what kind of outcome you can expect working with me. If you're interested, let's do this. That's it. So again, it doesn't have to be very um, like complicated. We can make it way more easier than that. And then the kind of the third skill that you need to learn, which again the jobs are just applying for jobs don't really teach you, is need to know how to kind of negotiate and write proposals. This is again something that if you have only been into 9 to 5, nobody really teaches you how to negotiate your salary. Yeah, the only negotiation that kind of can do is basically like somebody says a number and then you say a higher number, and then that's it, and that's the whole negotiation that is done between when you're changing jobs. But when you're a freelancer and you're trying to sort of freelance, this is the part where it's a bit more important. First of all, you need to write a proposal. What is a proposal? A proposal is just an offer to the problems that you're trying to solve for your potential client. So there are some nuances how to do that, but again, we live in the days where YouTube is available, ChatGPT is available. I mean, writing a proposal is not that difficult. No, again, you don't need to overcomplicate it. It doesn't have to be some sophisticated thing. All of my clients that I worked with, I usually, it's up to 100 words email where I kind of list some things that this is what I can do. This is the outcomes you can expect. This is the price. That's it. Sometimes I do presentations. I'm trying actually to get better at this myself, but my whole point is that to get started, especially to get started, you don't need anything complicated. You can just imagine writing a proposal is just as writing a simple email saying what you do, what is the outcome that you provide, and what is the price for it. That's it. Negotiations, yes, you can, read a book or two of how to. So there are some very simple like tactics of how to sort of approach that, but this is nothing too difficult. I mean, yes, you can go into negotiations, and there's a whole range of topic out there that is that can get very advanced, but you don't have to go advanced. You just need to know the basics, and that's it. So if we review, these are the three new things that you need to know. I need to kind of learn in order to get into the freelancing, which the school, universities, or anybody else doesn't teach you. So that's networking with people, which is basically knowing how to talk to people, a lot of people, all of the time. So this is something that you kind of have to do when you're a freelancer. But again, it doesn't have to like drain your energy or be somewhat boring or anything like that. It just means that you need to be more proactive instead of passive. Then instead of interviews, you need to know how to do discovery calls and kind of learn how to again kind of talk to people and then make the sale during that discovery call, which again doesn't have to be complicated. And the third thing is learning how to negotiate and write proposals. This is usually done in emails. Afterwards, there might be a specific sort of call regarding the pricing, but that's basically it. Those are the three key skills that differentiate you from a freelancer. The freelancer basically knows these three things, but because of them, they can actually work with more people at the same time, which actually I think provides way more security than if we compare to just one employer. And second of all, they can charge a lot more because they usually charge, if you can charge $2,000 for a specific service that you provide for a client that only requires like 2 to 4 hours per day of work or even less, then, I mean, just make the calculation. It's very, very easy then to work with three, four, five clients at the same time, basically making like 5 times more than you could at your current job. And I think this is a personal hot take, if you will, but I believe that we are actually the world is heading into a place where freelancing is going to become way more common. That a lot more people are going to switch to actually working on themselves because it feels like the only way forward. So the ones that are not going to make a switch, I'm not saying that companies will disappear or employment contracts are going to be gone. No, they're going to stay. But I feel like the majority of the people who stay at their jobs instead of sort of switching things into their own hands might actually lose out in the long term. So it's a hot take that we are moving into the world where freelancing is going to become more and more common. So why not start today? It takes time to learn skills. It takes time to get into things. So if you start early, you might be ahead of the train because when a lot more people are going to start freelancing, which I believe is the case, then again, there's going to be a lot more competition. So how to avoid that? You just start earlier. It's the same with any social media. It was a lot easier to be a YouTuber if you started like 10 years ago. It was a lot easier to kind of get on Instagram and become famous there if you started 10 years ago. So whatever you do right now, um, think about how will our lives look like in 10 years. So it's about almost 2026. In 2035 or 2036, how will the whole world function at that time? And I believe it's going to function in a way where there's going to be a lot more freelancers out there, because it's a lot of people are going to see that it doesn't make sense to work for one person when you can do the same job and work for five people and earn five times more. So just my take. But let's go into the the most common question, which I kind of started this with, is how do you actually find clients? So you know the skills, you know how to talk to people, you kind of learned, or at least did a few discovery calls, let's just say, and then you wrote at least a few proposals or read a book about negotiation. You're kind of ready. um, where do you find them? So uh, there are a couple of ways of doing this. First of all, if you're a complete beginner, I think Upwork can be like a freelancing marketplace. Upwork is my personal recommendation, but there are like others as well. Is probably the one that I suggest you to start. It's the most similar in the way that it feels more like a job application in a sense. So you are probably gonna be way more comfortable applying on jobs on Upwork, because it's sort of the same way as you would apply for any other job out there. So uh, that similarity, I think, is very good, because it's not going to be like a completely new thing for you, and it's going to just teach you how kind of freelancing works. So it's a very sort of easy way of getting into all of this. Now, um, besides Upwork, there are a couple of other ways of which I believe are better, but then again, they require more of your uh, attention. They require more of the work, but Upwork can definitely be sort of part of it. But then the next part is a more proactive approaches. Now, first one is cold approach. So that's very simple. Cold emails, cold calls, cold LinkedIn DMs. That might be scary when you start. However, how to not make it scary? Because if you just, let's say you are a graphic designer, uh, and if you just start cold calling anyone or cold emailing to any company, or just uh, opening LinkedIn and just DMing any person out there, I don't recommend this, because it's going to be a very terrible experience for you, since you're probably not going to get anywhere with this kind of approach. What is best to do is figure out what kind of people you want to work with, what kind of businesses that you want to work with. So if you're a graphic designer, uh, choose, for example, like e-commerce shops, but then not just e-commerce, like choose a pet e-commerce shops. Okay, now you've narrowed down from like the whole world to a very kind of specific range. I want to work with e-commerce shops that sell things to pets. You can, go general. You can even go a bit more niche, like dogs, maybe parrots, maybe something like that. I'm not sure what's out there, but you get the point. The point is to narrow everything down. Once you narrow everything down, then first of all, it's going to be a lot easier to find these people. Second of all, now you can actually create some sort of a portfolio, even a fake portfolio. What is a fake portfolio? A fake portfolio is just something that if you're a graphic designer, try to create logos, try to create landing pages, try to just have anything related to like what would be relevant for pet store. So you're not like saying that they did this for clients, you're just creating things, and then when people reach out to you, you have something to send them to. So you now have the ability to create specific things, examples of your work in that specific area. Then it's going to be a lot easier to cold call, cold email, or even go to LinkedIn and approach these people, because you know who are you searching for. Then when you know who are you searching for, it's going to be a lot easier to talk to these people, because every time you talk to at least one e-commerce owner that sells like pet toys or pet food, you're going to learn a lot more. in a sort of in a same area. So you're probably gonna start noticing similar problems. You're probably gonna start noticing similar um, ways to approach these people. So it will give you a lot of information, because if I just now start calling I don't know, e-commerce websites, then I will start calling like some local businesses, then I would go into the air conditioner site, and if I just did that, I would get no information of what is working, what is not, because I'm just all over the place. So the goal is to go like in a specific target, a specific person, and then learn as you go. What works, what doesn't, how does this niche work? How do people that own e-commerce shops, especially for pets, what is what is the thing that how do they find people? Who builds their websites? Who How do they find designers? Who actually runs their ads? You see, you're trying to get into the head of that person to understand them better. Once you understand them better, how they like work, what is their workflow, it's going to be a lot easier to see where you fit in and how do you approach them. Maybe just an example, maybe it's best for you to approach developers that actually build e-commerce, like Shopify e-commerce websites for those pet owners, because if you kind of collaborate with the developer, they might actually start sending you work, because they work with a lot of Shopify e-commerce stores. So just a very simple example, but it just showcases you that you need to kind of open your mind in a way you search for people. So that's the cold approach. Now there is warm approach. So warm approach is usually via some online communities. So like kind of indie hackers forum, Reddit, Slack groups. There are a lot of online communities out there. So if you are part of that specific community and you interact with people in those communities, you might become known there. People might start seeing your name, your face, your profile. People just start clicking into your profile, probably even going into your website, Instagram, whatever you have links on. So it's online communities are very similar to how you would network offline. It's just instead of talking to people, you comment, you write posts. So imagine a specific, let's use the same example for e commerce pet shop owners. There might actually be an e commerce subreddit, or even a pet e commerce subreddit. I'm not sure. I need to check on that. But that might be one of the examples of, oh, okay, so a lot of people that run e commerce shops gather there. What if I write a post regarding landing page conversions and how to increase them by using specific graphic design tools or something like that? Okay, that gives me kind of a very good way of showing my expertise without actually selling anything, but talking to the right people. Then there are, of course, like other like closed groups. So there are like paid courses and paid communities. That's less accessible, but the paid aspect is that there usually are a lot smaller, and it's a lot tighter group. So it kind of everybody starts to know everyone. So it's very easy to get noticed and to talk to people if you are inside those like paid communities. Again, it doesn't have to cost like $1,000 per day per month. There are like some courses for a couple of $100. Some of them are more expensive. There are like communities that cost like $100 a month. But if you really go into those communities and actually showcase yourself, so be helpful, respond to comments, just interact with people. It's the networking, the first thing that I kind of mentioned when I began this video. Um, what's going to happen is that you will actually start without pitching your services, you will naturally start getting people interested in your work. I actually met now um, I think even more than a couple of people, the couple of clients through just these closed groups. I wasn't even looking for any clients, but because I was there, because I was just talking to people, because I was commenting, I was active, people start noticing me, and then they see what I do because I have a website, kind of have a headline and stuff like that, and they just they had a problem with the specific thing that I can help with them with, and they saw how helpful I was to other community members, and he just messaged me, and that's it. And the whole working relationship started like that. I didn't even need to kind of make a sales call or sales message or called up anything like that. I was just being active on a specific community. So this is what I call warm approach, where you don't directly sell yourself, but you just show your face to a specific online community or some paid or closed groups. Um, this is definitely sort of the way I recommend you explore, because I think it's also a lot easier since you don't really need to sell yourself. You're just being active and helpful, and people notice you. And then, uh, to be honest, even if nobody sort of messages you, but you are being an active community member, it's also then easier to then message somebody else if you see that they're struggling with something. So because they will already have probably seen you or noticed you. So it's not like you are sending them cold email. It's more of a warmer approach, like, hey, I've been in this community. You've probably seen me around. I saw that you are dealing or doing this. I might be able to help. Let's chat. That's it. Make it very simple. I'm all about simplicity. Like, I don't want to overcomplicate things for myself or for anyone else. So a lot of the things that I preach is that you try the most simplest and basic things, and then you can actually add complexity on top, but always make it as easy as possible. And then the third way of finding clients is inbound leads. So that means people contacting you. I know what you're thinking, Banas. How can people contact me if if I don't have, and like, it's just, if they don't know what I'm doing or something like that. And that's actually your part of the job. So, in order for people to contact you, you need to be seen online. How do you do that? First of all, you need to have a website. That's like just the number one rule for any freelancer out there. And a website is one of the best places to basically gather all of the information that you have about yourself. You have your pictures, you have your like the tagline, and you state exactly who you are and what you do. You can write blogs, you can have newsletters there, you can link a lot of the stuff, case studies. Like, a website is just a centralized view it as a centralized database for all of the things that you do online and even offline. You can just you can have everything there. um, so that's number one thing that you have to have uh, uh, as a freelancer, because that's the best way that people are going to probably reach out to you. Fun not fun, but like sad note maybe, for some reason, a lot of freelancers neglect this step. They don't think they need a website, or they maybe created the website, but they haven't updated that in like 3 years time. So it's um it's one of my pet peeves with freelancers, that they don't care about their websites. And I believe this is one of the first things that a lot of people visit and see and kind of judge you by. So just something that you kind of need to have. But besides the website, which you have to have, next thing is now you need to create content, and content can be in various different forms. Mm. Mm. So first of all, you can do a YouTube channel. You don't. First of all, you don't need to be some kind of a big influencer, celebrity, or anything like that. But if you have a YouTube channel and you've made, like, let's say you uploaded like 7 videos, and each of those videos maybe talk to your target customer, target client, where you, one for example is showcasing your portfolio, another one is kind of talking about specific problem you see a lot of people um, in your area sort of have, and then what is your solution to that problem. Another one can be just you talking about your own history with like freelancing and stuff like that. So nothing really complicated, but just a couple of videos, let's say like 5 to 7 videos that showcase different things about you. One can be, as I said, like case study, another is a portfolio creation, another can be like a step by step how to do a landing page or something like, or how you do a landing page. And what happens that Once those videos are live, yes, they will probably get like 5 views on YouTube, but you don't care about that because the views are not important for you. It's important for you to have those videos because now you can actually embed them on your website. You can send people, whenever, for example, you do a cold outreach, you can send people to your YouTube channel to check it out. Video is probably the most powerful way you can introduce yourself. If you imagine, like, how many freelancers I have worked with or have interacted with that don't have any kind of video out there. And it's very difficult for us to judge a person with just a photo. Even now, like nowadays with AI, you can just create a person out of thin air. So it's important. Uh, it's very important that you have some kind of a video because it builds a lot more trust than any photo or any text on a website can. AI now can write text, go to ChatGPT and basically can write everything on your website. You can actually create fake photos, enhanced photos with AI as well. Video, that's more difficult part. And I don't think it's going to be fully replaced anytime soon. That authenticity in the way sort of you talk, like, I mean, you can't really but that's a whole nother topic. But either way, so having some videos gives you the first of all gives you a very big advantage over anybody else who actually um, is also freelancing in your niche because it makes you stand out and look actually human because hey, you talk to a camera, people can see how you present yourself, how you talk, how you look, like how you act. All of these things, people do judge us by everything that they see. So video is just the best way to quickly showcase if this is kind of a good fit or not. Then depending on your niche, you can actually start Instagram account. Again, don't need to have like thousands of followers, but having some content there and some reels showing again your work. Some of those reels might actually pop off on the and go sort of a bit viral. People are actually getting a lot of inbound leads by just showing what they do on Instagram, filming that, and then people are just contacting them. So again, but where do they go? To the website. So Instagram, you have the link to your website. They go to the website, they contact you, and then that's how you get. Then LinkedIn, honestly, probably one of the best platforms for freelancers out there, since it's a very work related platform. So whatever you do, when you share like case studies, results, or anything that you do with your own work, this is going to benefit you massively. This is going to grow your network. It's just, and also interact with people on LinkedIn. So not only post, but interact the same way as when I talked about online communities. LinkedIn is definitely part of that online community. Follow people that are your target customers. So find e-commerce pet owners, as I mentioned earlier in this video, and see what they post on LinkedIn. Comment on them, like interact with those people. Don't send them DM. Don't sell them anything. They'll actually just start noticing you, start going to your profile, and some of them might actually reach out to you just naturally. Then what you can do is, if you do have some experience in a field, if you have like some good wins, or you've been a graphic designer for like, I don't know, like 5 years, and you have something very tangible that you can showcase, do interviews. So there are like a lot of like websites where you can kind of pitch yourself as a guest. And interviews, I mean, like, let's do like written interviews where you can be shown on a lot of relevant communities, because I've done that myself. And actually, after I've done one, I got reached out to other websites that wanted also to interview me. So I've done those as well. And from there, I actually start getting a lot of inquiries. A lot of people are just are now interested in me because I shared what I do as a freelancer. So interviews are definitely one of the great ways to get some inbound leads and some like attention from people you don't know. Then as podcast, that's a bit more difficult area. That's actually what where I'm trying to get into. But if again, if you have some specific skills, if you already worked at your job and you have some, I don't know, awards, skills, results, outcomes, something that you can share with the world, podcasts are definitely also a good way to get get yourself out there, have a podcast, which then again you can link on your website. You can actually promote yourself that you've been on a past podcast, that you've shared this stuff. So it's just all about, like, the whole point of inbound leads is to make yourself know as much as much as possible visible on the internet, so that people can find you. Because in order for people to contact you, they need to know about you. In order to, how can they know about you if you don't, like, some freelancers ask, how do I get clients? And then I look at them, at their, for example, whatever they have, and they barely have a functioning website. They don't have any social media. They have like some posts on Twitter, or X these days, on X, like that were like 2 3 years ago, and that's it. And I'm like, dude, you have like nothing to show for online. You need to be an active person online if you want people to reach out to you and work with you. Because I see this, and it's basically is the same as a no name person. I need to see what you are doing online. That's why podcast, interviews, LinkedIn, commenting, online communities, Instagram, YouTube channel, videos, all of these things matter. Again, I'm not saying do all of this, it's just the idea. Because you need to start with something very concrete, do that, then go to the next thing and next thing. So I'm not saying you need to do everything all at once. That's probably a terrible idea. You're going to be burned out and overworked. But over time, you need to build yourself online so that people can find you from various different places. And one of the last things of how can you get inbound leads is referrals. So uh, that's kind of a step further. After you actually work with people, then what you do is you ask people to introduce you to somebody that might benefit from your work. But you don't really have to also work with people. You can also, once you interact with people on LinkedIn, online, close communities, offline, online, doesn't matter, you can actually start asking people to, instead of asking them directly, let's use the same example of e-commerce pet owners. You might meet an e-commerce pet owner, let's say somewhere online. You don't ask them if they need help. Let's, hey, do you know any other e-commerce pet owners that might be interested in this and that? It's just, it's a lot easier for people to recommend, to like connect you and recommend you to somebody else, instead of you pitching yourself services directly to them. So this is kind of a very cheeky way where you kind of also pitch yourself services to that person as well, but like indirectly. So referrals can go both ways. One is that you ask for people to refer you to, or get you in touch with somebody that they know. Or second of all is that you work with somebody, and then again, if they are very happy with your work, then you ask them, hey, do you know anybody else in this area that might sort of benefit from this? And that's it. That's kind of all you need to know about referrals at this stage. Mm. Anyone, by the way, if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to drop them in a comment. I'll see if I can answer those. But for now, I, if you haven't noticed, the whole inbound leads section, the third section of this sort of whole thing of where do you find clients, it's basically can be summed up in one word: build a personal, well, okay, so not one word, but like one sentence, one idea, is that you need to build a personal brand. I believe this is something that's gonna become very, very, very important in the near future, especially with AI, especially the way sort of the job market is at this moment. It feels that people that are known, or that if you know somebody uh, online, it's very likely you're gonna interact with that person. You're gonna ask them to work for you, or you're gonna hire them. It's just, it's a very, very powerful way of advertising yourself as a freelancer. It's kind of a must. You must build a personal brand, and it's a very long term thing, but it's gonna pay you a lot of dividends over the years to come. I've been in this I've been freelancing, if you don't know, I've been freelancing for the past 10 years, and a bit less, maybe like for the past 5 years, I've been more actively kind of trying to build my personal brand. Still, I mean, I'm not too great at this, but it's even though my numbers are not high, I've actually gained a lot of clients and work throughout all of this. So it just shows you that you don't need million followers, you don't need thousand subscribers, you don't need that much to actually benefit your freelancing career from. You just need a little bit of everything. So a bit more, some YouTube channels, some Instagram, some LinkedIn, some interviews, some podcasts, and eventually all of that will, at least some of those will bring you labor fruits. Um, some people actually usually are disappointed when they hear this. Oh, building a personal brand. That sounds like I need to now become an influencer. I need to now like be as all of those other kids or adults in on Instagram. And I think you're looking at this very like in a very narrow way. It's not about uh, it's not about how do I kind of form this? You, I think if you only see sort of big accounts, big people, big names on your social media feed, then you're probably missing out what is underneath. There are thousands of people getting like couple of hundred views on Instagram reels. There are thousands of people, millions of people that are getting like 100 views on YouTube, but they're making a killing because they target the right person. They build an audience. Again, you don't need a big audience, but you build some audience, and through there you can get a lot of different opportunities, including your freelancing clients. Um, so the sooner you start, the better you feel about all of this. So this is a crucial part. You start today, you're gonna see results in the next 3 to 4 years, but you need to start today. That's the whole thing with the personal brand. The best time to start a personal brand was what yesterday. The next best time is today. So I do encourage you to, even if you now work at a company and you don't plan on freelancing, or like you don't plan on quitting right now, or you don't plan on moving into freelancing, just start a website, start an Instagram account, start a YouTube channel, post a video, post a short video on Instagram, post a long form video on YouTube. Maybe get some maybe start posting on LinkedIn, scheduling some posts. So make it as easy as possible for you to get started on this journey. It's going to be a long one. So the whole point is to be consistent. Even if you take breaks, like a couple of months breaks. I mean, even with this channel, I've had like, I think even like years between videos that I haven't really posted, but I've still kind of came back and uh, managed to get myself together and sort of to do this for long term. But uh, it makes sense to be consistent because it takes a long time. And that's kind of my message here. And that's kind of my message here. So, going back to, if you want to quit your job with freelancing, this is where you start. You start by learning some skills, then you start by cold approaching some clients, you start by some warm approaching clients, then you start building your personal brand, interacting with as many people as possible. And from there, you'll need like a one or two clients, and then you'll gain all of the confidence that you need to actually go into this full time. So you don't need to quit your job just yet. Just find a client, find a project that you can do, and learn from your mistakes, and uh, go from there. Okay, that's it from me. Thank you so much for listening. And I actually have a newsletter link down below of this video where I talk a lot more details about how I freelance, what strategies I use, well, all other things about freelancing. So if you're really curious to get started on freelancing, this is definitely sort of the best place where you will learn everything that I've know and I've learned, and all of the mistakes that I made over the last 10 years, so you don't need to repeat them. Okay, but that's it from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.